Hey there, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Trina O'Gorman, and if you're returning, thank you for joining me again. So I made a video a couple of days ago in which I touched on journaling, planning, and overconsumption, and that struck a nerve or something for a lot of folks, and it also resonated with a lot of folks, and it resulted in a lot of discussion and comments, which is great. Some of the comments, though, were kind of really rude and negative, and I'm not having that. So some of them I actually deleted because that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Like my channel, my social media presence is a safe space for me, right? It has to be. I want it to be a safe space for everybody, but first and foremost, it is a safe space for me. And so if someone is coming at me in a space that I've created online, I'm simply going to put up boundaries because I can, and that's my right. And I regulate my peace, right? I do. So if there is something that I make a video about and you don't like it, or you disagree with it, or it strikes a nerve and you feel some kind of way, there are a number of things that you can do. You can click dislike if it so behooves you and move on. You can assume that I'm not addressing you because I didn't call you by your name and say, hey, you shouldn't do this. So you could do that and you could just keep scrolling, right? Or you can ask yourself, why is this bothering me? Why do I feel like this is a personal attack on me? And you can do some self-reflection. You can do those things. But if you write paragraphs and paragraphs trying to justify something that I haven't asked you to justify, I'm probably going to delete it because it muddles my space. It creates noise that I really don't think any of us benefit from. And so I'm going to delete it, and that means you've wasted your time. Oftentimes, I don't even read them in their entirety because as soon as I feel some kind of way, I'm like, wow, that's toxic. I don't have to listen to that. And I delete it. I mean, look, I'm not afraid of discomfort. If I'm having an uncomfortable conversation with someone with whom I have a relationship with, whether it be family or friendship or romantic, and there's some things that we need to discuss and get through, and it's not easy, I'm not going to delete that. I'm not going to walk away from that. I'm going to deal with that. But that's because I have some sort of investment in the nurturing of that relationship. However, strangers online, that's different. And I don't know anything about the people who feel the need to launch some sort of attack because someone said something that doesn't align with their thinking. And I mean, I don't know their level of education. I don't know their level of sanity. I don't know. I don't know anything about them. So I take little stock in anything that they have to say. Anyway, this is all to say I don't spend a whole lot of time dealing with that. And sometimes I don't even read them all the way through. I just like, I'll read a couple of sentences and then I'm just like, I just look for the little three buttons, the three dots where you can just click remove, and I remove it. Similarly, if I were spending time going through YouTube, which I don't have a lot of time doing, just looking at videos, which I don't really do, and I came across one and it was talking about something that I didn't like, I would just stop playing it, right? I would literally stop playing it and go find something else to do. All right, so that's enough about that because I don't feel like I have anything else to say about that. what I do want to say is that I criticized and spoke out on overconsumption. And yesterday, my family and I were out in New York having a great time. Having a great time. We went to Schmorgasburg in Williamsburg, which is a section of Brooklyn. It's this outdoor food festival. The first time we went to it was pre-COVID. I think it was 2019. We actually stayed at the William Vale Hotel so we could go to Schmorgasburg twice. The William Vale Hotel is fabulous. And Schmorgasburg was so cool. So we went in 2019, and then the pandemic happened, and it didn't happen for a while, right? We didn't have any activities for a while. I think the first time we went back might have been last year or the year before. They have it in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg. Then that's on Saturdays. And then on Sundays, it's in Prospect Park. And then I think on Fridays, it's in Times Square. But we have not been to that one. And I think they've started having them in other parts of the country and maybe other parts of the world. I'm not really sure. I know it's in LA now. A friend of mine said there's one in LA. Anyway, check it out and see if it's in your area because it's really cool. So we went to Smorgasburg because it was nice outside. It wasn't super hot. It was a bit overcast, which is great because it's an outdoor festival and it can get really hot with the sun beaming down on you. The cloudy day and the lower temperatures, because I don't even think it was 80, and it's over by the water, it was a great day for it. So we did that. We had lunch there, and then we headed back west to the museum. I got a membership for the Metropolitan Museum of Art, for my birthday, which was June 4th, from a friend of mine who is an art historian. And I never spent a whole lot of time going to museums. I would take the kids in the summer once to different museums, the Natural Museum of History, or the Modern Museum of Art, or the Met, and that would be that, right? And we would go for the day and try to cram everything into a day, and it would be exhausting, and people would be hungry, and people would be tired. What's so cool about the membership, though, is that because I know it's not going to cost me anything, I don't have to plan to go for the entire day. So we went literally to see one exhibit and spent like 2 or 3 hours in the Harlem Renaissance exhibit, and really, for the first time ever, we're able to take in what it was we were there looking at. We were reading the placards that they have and talking about the history and the culture, and it was just such a great time. We would sit down in front of paintings and look at them and look at the techniques and the design in ways that we've never done before. So that was fantastic. But I bring that up because while we were on the train and the subway and stuff like that, I kept hearing the notifications on my phone, which I eventually turned off. But I could see that people were responding. And when I had a minute, sometimes I would jump on just to moderate it and make sure nobody was saying anything crazy that I needed to remove. But I noticed that there was a bit of activity about that post, and realized as a teacher that what I had failed to do was to provide alternatives. That I didn't like. So that's why I'm making this video today. So yeah, a lot of the overconsumption that happens in the journaling and planning and notebook keeping community happens, well, it happens for a number of reasons. And I am not a psychology professional or major. I majored in writing and English, and education. But I do research just for the fun of it and as part of my job, and know that shopping, the behavior of shopping, there's so much psychology behind it. And people who sell us things and market things to us are experts in the psychology behind shopping and the behaviors that people participate in ways that will benefit them profit wise, right? And will make those who are engaging in the behaviors continue to engage in them because those behaviors make them feel good or make them feel something that they're going to continue to chase. So, quickly, shopping does a number of things. Shopping and retail therapy and all of that stuff makes us feel good because we're on some sort of a quest, right? And that can make us feel some level of power, right? Because we're going out to choose something better or something new, right? And so we can use like those decision making skills that we have and picking the right size and picking the right color and picking the right system. All of that can give us some feeling or some um, level of control and make us feel empowered in some way. Now, that might conflict with our impulse control, right? If we're impulsively doing these things or we cannot control these behaviors, then there's a negative flip side to that in that we are wasting time, we are wasting resources like money, energy, all of this stuff, a lot of which is limited or just doesn't need to be wasted or could be better used in other ways or saved and invested, because one thing I hear people say is like, I have money and I can spend my money on these things. Let me tell you something. I have two sons and I am a person of color, as you can see. And one thing that I will say is that people do not spend enough time learning about investments and saving, right? And my favorite thing to do with my money is to watch it grow. I cannot tell you how much I love going into my accounts and seeing that my money has grown today. And I have more money today than I had yesterday, and that I'm staying ahead of inflation, and that I am preparing so that I can retire, or so that when I'm no longer here, I can leave something to my sons so that they have a legacy and they don't have to start all over again from scratch. Because that's a lot of the struggle that communities like mine have, is that we don't have generational wealth. And, and then we're taught to have this mindset that we need to spend our money and feel good about spending it so that we can keep the economy going and benefit the people who are making profit off of us. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, it can get in the way of all of that. The other thing it does is it makes us feel good because it triggers the release of the feel good hormones in our body, our reward system in our body that rewards us with these hormones that are like the natural drugs in our bodies. So, dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, um, oxytocin, right? All of these things get triggered in our bodies when we practice or engage in behaviors that make us feel good. And shopping is one of those. right? Shopping, going on the hunt, right? Those trigger the release of those hormones. And a lot of us are not getting enough of that in other places in our lives, or we are so addicted to getting those hits from engaging in those behaviors because it's easy, right? And we know we're going to get a hit of dopamine if we go out and go shopping and buy a new notebook or buy more washi tape or buy another pen. We're guaranteed to get this hit. It becomes an addiction. And I think that's why a lot of people get mad at me because I'm taking away their drug, or they feel like I'm trying to take away their drug, which I'm not. But when we are addicted to something, we develop a tolerance to it. And the same level of stuff doesn't make us feel the same way anymore. So we need more and more of it. We also become anxious because we know in the logical part of our brains that we're doing something crap, right? Like, this is not benefiting me. My house is getting cluttered. I'm spending money I don't have. I'm like my wheels are constantly turning, worrying about something that I don't need to be worried about. Like, I'm worrying about how I'm organizing my notebook when I know I have bigger and better things that I could be spending my time doing. And then that makes me feel sad and depressed. And the cycle repeats because now I need another dopamine hit, right? It just goes around and around. It's a cycle. So, what are some healthy ways to trigger the dopamine, right? Exercise. I myself am a certified personal trainer, and I know, right? I don't do it as a job anymore, but I work out 6 days a week. 6 days a week, anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes a day. So I get up in the morning at around 5:30 every morning. That's I've been doing it so long that I usually wake up before my alarm. And I work out when I get up in the morning before I do anything else, and then I shower and I get my day going. And then I don't have to worry about missing out on the opportunity to work out during the day or running out of time because I've done it in the morning. I also work out at home. I have equipment here, and so I work out at home, and I don't have the excuse of not wanting to go to the gym or not being able to afford paying for a gym or whatever, right? For some people, going to the gym, working with a personal trainer, being out of the house and working out, that's better for them. So you have to do what works for you. But exercise triggers the release of dopamine. It also triggers the release of some of the other feel good hormones. So exercise is good, and it also benefits your health. It reduces your stress. It keeps your body functioning in the ways that it should function. So exercise, everybody should be doing it. Getting sunlight will also trigger the production of dopamine. So getting outside, getting some rays. You want to use protection because you don't want to get skin cancer while you're getting rays. But yeah, being outside can help increase the dopamine in your system. And so taking a walk can help. It can even help to go outside and journal, right? Or go outside and write, or go outside and do your planner. You can sit outside, do it, and soak in some rays at the same exact time and trigger the production of dopamine in your body. The other way or another way, because there are tons, and you can go look them up because I'm not going to do all of the work for you, but you can also listen to music. Music triggers the release of dopamine. I listen to a lot of music. I am learning to play the drums, and so I take drum lessons, and my son and I both play jazz. My older son, who is not practicing music right now anymore. He does play the trombone. He has the trombone. My younger son plays the upright bass and plays at school and outside programs. And like I said, I take drum lessons. So we listen to a lot of music in this house. There's music going on all the time. We're either playing or listening to it. And it's good for you. It releases dopamine or triggers the release of dopamine. So dopamine is released when you like tap into the reward system of the brain, and then endorphins are the body's like natural painkillers. You want those too. So what are some of the ways that you can trigger the release of dopamine? I'm not dopamine, endorphins. You can have sex. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you are practicing healthy, right, sex, and you want to protect yourself against sexually transmitted diseases. You also want to make sure that it's consensual. And I don't feel like I should have to say that, and yet I'm going to say it because, you know. Um, but yes, that will trigger the release of endorphins. You can also masturbate. That would do it too. Dark chocolate contains flavonoids, which are in plant based foods, and that will trigger the release of endorphins. It also helps to manage blood pressure and keep your blood vessels flexible and healthy, and so that's good. You don't want to overeat chocolate. You want to eat the serving size, right? But yeah, eating dark chocolate will increase the endorphins in your body. So you can nosh on some dark chocolate, not milk chocolate. Milk chocolate won't do it. It needs to be dark chocolate. And I would suggest fair trade because like a lot of things in this world, the production of even chocolate is evil. So yeah, fair trade, dark chocolate. Laughter also increases the release of endorphins. So you can listen to or watch something funny. You can reach out and hang out with friends and have a good time and laugh. Friends, family, whatever makes you laugh, right? You can also look at life from a humorous mindset because if we don't laugh, we're going to cry. And so, I mean, crying helps too, but laughter definitely helps. And so, laughter is another way to trigger the release of endorphins. I love this one. There's lots of ways to trigger the release of endorphins, but one is giving to those in need. And so that's called the helper's high. And that just is proof to me that the universe does work. And if we would just follow the natural flow and natural course of things, we would be in good shape. But we don't do that. Helping people in need, like giving of yourself, actually it releases endorphins. It feels good to help people in need. So instead of resisting that, like we've been trained to do in the individualistic hellhole that is the US, helping people in need, that will make you feel better and help the people who need help. So those are some of the things you can do instead of buying a whole bunch of shit, right? Okay, so then there are the serotonin levels. And a lot of things that I've talked about, they're on all the lists. So you can do those things and you can increase the production and the release of dopamine, endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin. They all work together, right? But specifically, something that you can do to increase your serotonin levels is to practice gratitude because that triggers the reward system in the brain, right? You don't have to make a big deal out of it though. Like, I see people stressing out about their gratitude journals or their gratitude practices. Like they'll make up rules, like they have to list 3 things a day or, five or whatever, and they have to write it down. And it becomes this whole thing where they're like writing it down with brush pens and in different colors. And by this point, I've wasted so much time, energy, and money that now I'm anxious about my gratitude journal. And that just does not make any sense, does it? No, right? In order to practice gratitude, you actually don't have to write anything down. You can if you want, but that's not a requirement. You can just have a grateful mindset. Wake up, not so grateful for this, that, and another thing. You can do it in your prayers. You can do it in your meditation. You can do it while you're taking a walk outside, soaking up sun rays. You can do it while you're eating dark chocolate. You could be grateful for the dark chocolate that you're eating. You could be grateful for the means that you have to help others. However, you're practicing gratitude, practice gratitude in a way that is not increasing stress, because stress reduction is important for all of these hormones to be released and increase in your system. So, yeah, stress management. Stress management is necessary for you to keep from decreasing the serotonin in your body. You need to manage your stress. And a lot of the stuff that we're doing with these notebooks and planners and journals are actually increasing the stress that they should be decreasing. So don't do that. So I think we have to really, really be very mindful of the things that we're doing that are supposed to reduce stress and manage stress that might be increasing stress. And stress management is very important. There's also like something called tryptophan that is in some foods, and there's some research being done. It's not conclusive, and foods that have tryptophan, it's a complex science. So the food science is always complex, and sometimes people think, oh, I can just eat a whole lot of this and I'm going to feel better. But then it requires like carbohydrates, which that then produces insulin, and that's necessary for the absorption of like amino acids and stuff. So it's really complicated. You can't just eat a whole bunch of cheese and think, oh, I'm going to feel better now. Like there are benefits, and then there are other things that are necessary for the body to do what it needs to do to benefit from these different foods. But some foods are said to help increase serotonin levels in the body. Cheese, salmon, stuff like that. I digress. So, some foods, stress management, sleep. You need your serotonin levels to be in a good place in order to get quality sleep, but then sleep is also necessary to reduce anxiety, so that can be a vicious cycle if you're not getting good sleep. So you want to manage your stress, you want to manage your sleep, you want to eat good things in moderation. You want to be giving, you want to be kind, you want to laugh, you want to get sun, get out of the house. You want to have sex, you want to do all this stuff. Um, and then that will offset the need or the desire to go out and buy a whole bunch of shit that you don't need. So I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.